Hey guys, this is Rhonda. Just wanted to come and share with you a few of the projects that I have recently completed and talk about those projects a little bit and my experience with the patterns that I used, etc. Um, so, as many of you know, and if you have not seen already, I am formerly Divas Fashionable Crochet, now JadoreLeCrochet. So, thank you all that have come over to my new channel and subscribe to the new channel for all of my upcoming crochet videos. Okay. The first thing that I want to share with you is a pattern that I purchased a while back from Maggie's Crochet, and it's the long hooded cape, and that is what you see here on my mannequin. Um, Let me talk to you a little bit about this project. I purchased this pattern, the long hooded cape, uh, a few months ago from Maggie's Crochet because um, it was very popular pattern and everybody was making it, and I knew that I wanted to make me one for this winter. Now, after purchasing the pattern and looking over the pattern, I noticed that the sizing for the pattern said one size fits most. So, in my experience, whenever a pattern says one size fits most, it does not include plus sizes. It, at best, will go up to an extra large, but definitely not a 2X or higher. Okay, so it would be one size fits most up to an extra large. And so, with that in mind, I decided that when I made the cape, I would go ahead on and adjust the sizing for a 2X. And so that's what I did. I made the cape and I adjusted the sizing, adjusted the stitches for what I thought would be a 2X. Now, I did try the cape on as I was making it. I did try it on after I had completed it, and I thought that it fit fine then. Okay. Now, mind you, I finished this, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks ago, I think, um, the original cape. And so I tried it on like right after I finished it and just put it away, and that was it. So I wanted to wear it. And so I go to take it out last week to wear, and I tried it on, and I was so disappointed because it was huge. Oh my gosh, guys, I made the cape so big. I'm talking about, I was swimming in it. It was so incredibly large on me. So I had to take it all down up to where I began to do the increases, which was like about row 20 from the shoulders down. So I went and ripped it all out and started almost completely over up to, like I said, row 20. And did not add any additional increases to the width of it. Okay, I did not add any more adjustments to the width. I made it according exactly how the pattern said as far as the width was concerned. I did, however, make an adjustment to the length of it prior to starting the slits for the armhole. I added 8 extra rows to it before I started my armhole slits. And that's because once I measured from my shoulder to where I wanted my armholes to be, it would have been much higher had I done it according to the pattern. That's the only adjustment that I needed to make to this pattern for it to fit me and someone larger than me. Because if you make this pattern with a worsted weight yarn, I use Michael's Impeccable to make mine, but if you use something like Impeccable, Red Heart with Love, Red Heart Super Saver, Lion Brand's Homeland yarn, You will not have to make any adjustments to the width of this cape. It's going to be plenty large enough for just about anybody. Because I would even venture to say that as this cape is made, the way that I made it, with just adding the 8 extra rows before the armhole, someone that is maybe a 4 or 5X could probably still wear this cape and it be plenty large enough for them. Okay, so it is truly a one size fits most pattern. Okay, because even if you're a smaller person, it's just going to drape and fall on your body. Okay, so it's made, the pattern is written really, really well. Okay, now, would I say that if you are smaller than, like if you're a size small, I would use a lighter weight yarn. I wouldn't change the width of the pattern, but I would use a lighter weight yarn to make the cape. I would not use a number 4 weight, and definitely not a number 4 as thick as the ones I named. Okay, the Red Heart with Love, Red Heart Super Saver, Lime Brand, Homeland, or Michael's Impeccable. If you're using those yarns, then you definitely would need to be making it for a size large or larger. If you're making it for a small, medium person, I would use a lighter weight yarn, like a number 3. Okay. So with that being said, after going back and redoing it, I was much more pleased with how it turned out. I'm glad that I did not, when I made it the first time, I'm glad that I did not immediately go ahead on and wash it and block it and all that kind of stuff before I had a chance to actually really try it on like I was going to wear it. Okay. But once I redid it and everything, I did wash it and soften it and block it. And so the drape on it now is amazing. It's so soft. It's so cozy and it feels really nice on. So let me try it on for you guys so you can see how it fits me now that I've redone it. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to put this on. Okay, so you can see here, this is pretty much as the pattern was written, is how I made it. The other adjustment that I did make is I did not put a hood on mine. I just did the collar because I don't like hoods like that. I just would prefer to wear a hat if I'm going to wear a hat, and not a hood. Okay, so you can see there's plenty of room still. See how it flows and it lays really, really nicely on the bottom. I am so pleased with the way this turned out the second time. The first time, I felt like I was the Goodyear blimp being wrapped up in a blanket. So, but anyways, that's that. And love it. Very well written pattern. Now, let me show you. This is how much yarn I had left over from the first time that I made the cake. Okay. This, I have big hands, y'all. You see this? This is like it's quite a bit of yarn. It's probably about more than a skein, extra skein, whole skein, if not more of yarn left in this ball. So I use way, 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 way too much yarn to make the first one. So yeah. So keep that in mind if you are going to make the long hooded cape from Maggie's Crochet, that you will not need to make any adjustments to the width of the garment if you are a plus size person and you're making it with a heavy worsted weight yarn. If you're making it with a lighter weight yarn, then I would make it for like a size small, medium, large in a lighter weight yarn. And then for the plus sizes, I would use the heavy worsted weight yarn like the ones I mentioned. Okay, so moving right along. The next thing that I want to share is in my previous video, I shared with you the skirt that I was working on, and I mentioned to you that I had already completed the top for that skirt. This top, now I did not have in mind the skirt when I made the top. It just so happened that I went into my yarn stash and I had a lot of the same color left over. So when I decided to make the skirt, I just said I'd make it to go with the sweater that I had made last year. I made this sweater last year. This sweater came from Curvy Girl Crochet. And it's a very simple pattern. It has beautiful, though, the detailing, the best part of this pattern is not this front part, but it's the sleeve. It's a very pretty lace white, can you see that? Lacy sleeve on it, and it kind of flares out at the bottom of the sleeve, which is really, really cute. But I will say now, the original pattern for this one, the sleeves were much wider, but I didn't want mine quite as wide at the bottom, so I didn't make it quite as wide, but still you can see the effect of that. The lace is really, really cute. Now, for the skirt is finished. It is all the way down to the floor. This skirt is. I'm just going to kind of lift it up so you can see the stitches. So, isn't that gorgeous? You can see here I added about an inch wide elastic to the waistband of it. There. My mannequin's waist is a little bit smaller than mine, so it's a little bit big on her than what it would be on me. And I'm a little bit, I have more hips than what my mannequin has. So this skirt is made to fit me and not my mannequin, hence why it's a little large on her. The skirt is a vintage pattern that I purchased off of Etsy. And that is a picture of the skirt. So it kind of fits at the top, and as you make the skirt, it starts to flare out ever so slightly. It's not like a big fishtail type skirt. Okay, it just, as you repeat the row pattern, each time you start over for a new row pattern, then you're going to put in some increases as you go along. So which creates the flare down at the bottom of this flare down at the bottom of the skirt. Now, let me talk about how I do my pattern adjustments, because I know that's going to be a really, really big question that some of you might have is, how did you adjust this for plus size? Because this particular pattern is written for small, medium, large, okay? And it gives you a choice of 2 types of yarn to use for the pattern. But they are both 8-ply yarn. So they're like a number 3 weight yarn, a light worsted weight yarn. So the first adjustment that I made was I used a number 4, but I used a light number 4 worsted weight yarn. And this is Caron Simply Soft. Okay, so although it is a number 4, compared to, say, the Red Heart with Love, this is a little bit lighter number 4 weight than the Red Heart with Love. Okay, the Red Heart with Love is quite thick, a number 4 weight yarn. Okay, so that's the difference. The Caron Simply Soft has a nicer drape. It's really, really soft, so it lays nicely when you're making garments with it, and that's why I really, really like that yarn. So that's the first adjustment that I made, is that I changed the weight of yarn that I was using. I did go up in weight of yarn, but I kept it on the lighter end of a heavier weight yarn, if you understand what I'm saying. The other adjustment that I made is I went up a hook size. Now, I went up a hook size because I tend to crochet rather tightly. So if you know that your tension is really, really tight, then you might want to go up a hook size from what the pattern says. And I usually will always have to do that for my patterns, is go up a hook size based on the gauge that they give, so that I can get the gauge that the pattern is for, because of the fact that my tension is usually pretty tight. Okay. The other thing that I did, the pattern did give measurements for the waist size and the hip size. So, and it also told me here what my tension should be for this particular pattern. So the tension was 8 trebles to 2 inches. So that meant that 8 of, when I was to measure this, if you can see here, 8 of these treble crochets should be about 2 inches. So 1, 2, 3, so 2, 4, 6, 8. That would be about 2 inches. Okay, so you can measure, do a swatch sample and measure your gauge, which is an awesome way, is the best way to figure out how and where you need to make your adjustments based on your tension, your gauge. Okay, so that was the other thing. The other thing that I did was I measured my waist and my hips, and my initial chain was done to fit my hip size because I knew I was going to add elastic to the waist. Hence why I did not want to make it to my waist size. I wanted to make it to my hip size and then cinch in the waist with elastic. Okay, so that the skirt would not be tight around my hips. Now, I did that because my hips are larger than my waist, much larger than my waist, okay? So whenever I'm making anything, I have to make it up to my hip size and then adjust in other places for it to fit, okay? That's just because I'm hippie. Okay, so once you do that, then the last thing that you need to do is figure out the stitch repeat for the pattern. And this stitch repeat was fairly simple to figure out, so it happens to be in a multiple of 6. Okay, now being that you're working in the round for this skirt, there are no additional stitches you need to add to your chain. So it was just simply a multiple of 6. Okay, so whatever your hip measurement is, you make your chain that length in a multiple of 6, and then I join it and work the pattern as it is written. Okay. The pattern is more of, although it does give you directions of, the pattern is written more as a guideline on how to create a skirt for yourself, as opposed to giving you row by row by row. So what this pattern does is it gives you the first 12 rows, and then those 12 rows repeat to the length that you want your skirt to be. Okay, so if you only wanted it 2 repeats of the 12 rows, then that would have been the length of your skirt. Okay, I wanted my skirt to be like it is in the picture, all the way down to the floor. So I ended up doing 1, 2, 3, 4 complete repeats, and then an additional, then the first 1, 2, 3, what did I do on the end? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 rows of the repeat to finish it off. Okay, so I did 1, 2, 3, 4 complete repeats, and then the first 4 rows I repeated again to end the skirt. Okay, and you can make you a skirt just like that. Okay, now if you guys would like for me to do a tutorial on how you measure yourself and just make a skirt for yourself even without a pattern, if you have a stitch book that shows you crochet stitches and you have the instructions to doing that, you can make a skirt really quickly. But if you want, excuse me, if you would like for me to do a tutorial on how to measure your waist, how to measure your hips, the length and all of that, to make a garment like a skirt for yourself, then just put it in the description box down below and let me know that's something that you guys are interested in, and I will put together a tutorial on creating or a basic skirt for yourself. And then you can figure out whatever stitch pattern you want excuse me from there, but I will give you the instructions on how to do that. That is it for today, all that I have. Oh, I'm still working on the dress that I mentioned in my previous video that I was doing only from charts. I have not gotten very far on that because I started this skirt and then I had redid the cape. I'm also working on the poncho top that I told you guys that I was doing, that I showed you where I had the where I went to Sam's and I saw a top in Sam's that I wanted to recreate for myself. So I got part of it done. Half of that is done. So you can see the first part of this is done. I'm working on the second piece, and then once that is completed, I'll definitely do a video and show you all the completed of this poncho slash shirt. Here's the second half of that. So I'm working on the second piece now. Now, the yarn that I'm using, for this poncho is a Michaels brand yarn. It's wool-like. It's actually their stock weight yarn, and it is a superfine #1. Okay, so hence why it's taking me a while to get it all completed, because it's very thin yarn. But I'm actually enjoying it, and as I'm making it, I'm getting other ideas on how I can put it all together. So I will be excited to see how it actually comes out in the end, because this is me totally winging it, guys. I just simply saw a picture of a top that I liked. Well, I saw the top in the store and took a picture of it, should I say, that I liked, and I said, let me try and recreate that in crochet. Now, mind you, the one that I saw in the store was knitted, and I don't knit, so this is my own personal interpretation of that top. So we will see how close it comes to the actual picture when I get done. So I'm excited about that and excited to share that with you all. So I don't want this video to be incredibly too long. It's already about 25 minutes or so. So I just wanted to share that with you. If you have any questions or any suggestions of things that you want me to share or to explain, or perhaps even do a tutorial on, just let me know in the comments below. And I will talk with you all soon. Have an awesome day, and God bless. Bye.